Welcome. We are now discussing question 6. Question 6 of the PPM Principles of Management paper, and this was done in 5th December 2022. So question 6A, explain the term span of control. 2 marks. Now, span of control basically means the number of subordinates reporting to a superior. Number of subordinates to reporting to a superior. So if we have so many subordinates reporting to one superior, then we say we have a wider span of control. But if we have just a few subordinates reporting to one superior, then we say we have a narrow span of control. So it's basically the scope of control that a superior will have on the scope of control that a superior will have. How many people basically fall within his jurisdiction. If there are so many, then we say it's a wider span of control because of the so many people that is supposed to ensure that possibly they do they play their role. And if we are just talking about a few number of people, then we say we talk of a narrow span of control. Narrow because there are just a few individuals who enjoy his directives or control. So that is what the span of control is all about. It's about the number of subordinates reporting to a superior. And of course, we are also talking about the tasks. Because these subordinates, basically there's some tasks that they are supposed to be handling. So if the tasks are so many because of that require so many people, it means that the span of control will be wider. So how do we define? Look at the number of people, and of course the number of people dictates the tasks in question. The more people we have, the numerous the tasks, and possibly the more the resources that will be required. So it depends, but that is possibly how we can look at it. Otherwise, in very few words, it's the number of subordinates that report to a superior. When you have so many people, subordinates reporting to one superior, then we talk of a wider span of control. When we have very few or few subordinates reporting to a superior, then we talk of narrow span of control. Maybe something I can just add here. In most cases, when we talk about a hierarchical structure, more of a vertical structure, then we normally talk of narrow span of control. Narrow span of control. So a vertical structure, the one that flows downwards, will mostly have a narrow span of control, and then a wider span of control will in most cases be a more of a flat structure. A flat structure. This is a flat structure. A flat structure, also called a horizontal structure. So you can see this person has so many people, but this one has only 2, like that. So this is narrow span of control. In most cases, vertical structures or hierarchical structures will have a narrow span of control, and flat structures or horizontal structures like this one will have a wider span of control. So let's go to number 2. Analyze 5 factors affecting span of control in organizations. Analyze 5 factors affecting span of control in organization. The stage of growth of the organization. In most cases, mature organizations will have a wider span of control. What do we call this? Organizations that are still growing, maybe in production stage or whatever. Those ones, in most cases, they will have a narrower span of control. Now, why do we have a wider span of control for mature organizations? Because systems are already in place. Systems are already in place, so they really don't need close supervision. So long as you have systems in place, these people don't need close supervision. The systems will work. That explains why they, in most cases, will have a wider span of control. They don't need a manager for every few people. No, a manager can have his effects spreading around to so many people because systems are in place and they should work on behalf of the manager. The other reason possibly why that will determine the span of control is the skill set of the subordinates. If there are people who are well skilled and they're experts in the line of job, then in such like cases you don't need close supervision, and so a wider span of control can do. A wider span of control will do, because these people know what they are doing. If they know what they are doing, then you really don't need to be there as a manager to monitor every move that they make. So in such like cases, people are well skilled, a wider span of control will do. The motivation, the attitude of the workers, morale of the workers. If these people are self-propelled, they are self-driven, a wider span of control will do. But on the contrary, if they are not self-motivated, they want somebody to be there to supervise before they can do the job, then a narrower span of control will have to take over. Use of technology. With technology, a wider span of control is possible. With technology. But without technology, possibly people have to be there to check on the quality of what you are doing. But with technology, there's a lot of standardization, and the technology can see or can check if the whatever it is that the employee has done meets the specifications. So in such like cases, you really don't need the supervisor presence in almost every stage. Then we also talk about efficiency level of the subordinates. If they are efficient, then you really don't need a supervisor closer. A wider span of control will do. Yeah. Then we also have nature of the job. There are jobs that really don't require the results. Maybe what you expect are just the results, and the results can it's either they meet the specifications or then they don't meet the specification. If that is the kind of job we are doing, then we really don't need a manager being close to you every time. So the nature of the job might dictate whether a manager has to be close to you. Especially if you're talking about services, maybe a manager will be required, because if a manager is not there and you're talking about service, somebody might take advantage of that. And yeah, but if it's something that really doesn't require the input, maybe it's machines that are working, then in such like cases, the manager doesn't have to be there. A wider span of control will do. There are jobs which will require managers to be present, and there are jobs which will not require managers to be present. We also talk about the cost of maintaining these managers, cost of maintaining the managers. If it's low, then no problem. You can have a narrower span of control. But if the cost is high, then we will be forced to have a wider span of control. Time, availability of time to do the job. If you want to accomplish a lot within a short period of time, then a narrower span of control is better. But if we have all the time, a wider span of control can do. Even the standardization of the job, can also can be a reason here. So all these are reasons that can determine whether we go for a narrow span of control or a wider span of control. Thank you. Let's meet in the next. Oh, there's one question here. I was almost winding up this. Let me just check this question. Examine 4 limitations of chain of command principle. Chain of command, there's a lot of bureaucracy that comes with the chain of command. Chain of command says that instructions have to flow top to down, and then reporting is, you follow the chain upwards. So this is the order. If we are talking about instructions, they flow from top downwards, and reporting to from down upwards. And you have to basically go through all these stages as they are they appear in the structure. So we have a lot of time wastage. There's a lot of time wastage and unnecessary procedures, procedures, which will now end up in bureaucracy. So we have a lot of unnecessary procedures. Then we have time wastage, where you have to wait for a person who occupies a certain office or who has some powers to come and possibly approve something that could have, it's very obvious, We also talk of slow communication, something that could just have gone straight to this person has to go through all this. And there is also a possibility of distorted information. So you can imagine, this one tells this one will understand the way he wants to understand. When he passes the message, this one, he will also understand the way he wants to understand. At the end of the day, the information that gets here might be totally different from, what was intended. Then you have less collaboration. There's a lot of power in this thing. A lot of less collaboration. So this person might not mix freely with this one, might not mix freely with this one, might not mix freely with this one. And these are things that organizations today are not really after. Organizations today want people to collaborate, people to feel like they belong. In fact, most of organizations today are now moving towards decentralization. And this move is against decentralization. It doesn't go well with this decentralization. And most of the organizations have realized that decentralization is the way to go, where people have powers, because it's about give people power to come up with new ideas, new ways of doing things, new processes, and chances are that you are likely to grow, as opposed to this kind of structure where power is vested in the hands of a few people. And so these people might not have a say, especially when they have the good ideas to propel the company to another level. There's some kind of competition, silent competition in this kind of setup, chain of command principle. Everybody wants to exalt his powers, which at the end of the day may not go well with the organizations. Organizations today want people to feel like they belong and they are one piece of unit, a system. So this basically doesn't go well with so many things that are happening today. So at the end of the day, we talk of reduced motivation or low motivation among the employees, and we know there are quite a number of things that come with this. So reduced motivation. We've also said, the low initiative for creativity and new idea generation. Why? Because any idea you come up with, it has to go through that channel up the ladder, and chances are that this person who is up here will take that decision, so that you don't even get the benefits of coming up with that idea. So these are things that are happening, and all these are limitations that come with this chain of command kind of principle. So and maybe you can also talk about resource distribution. Sometimes they don't get to reach at the bottom because of that chain. or when instructions, if you're talking about instruction, by the time they get to the bottom, totally a different set of instructions. So you end up doing something that is not even what you instructed, and of course, you face the wrath of the boss. All these are disadvantages. I'm just trying to open your mind so that you don't just, they are not just four, they are quite a number. We can go on and on, and so be open in an exam, be open, think, open, and all this can be points. Thank you. Let's meet in the next question, which is question 7.